Hi there. I wanted to share with you a little bit about the two anthologies I'm involved in right now. The first one is Tales of the Apocalypse. The story that I have in there is called Protector, and it is coming out on the 20th of November. You can pre-order it now, but I thought I will give you a little bit of a feel for the story. There are 15 stories in it altogether, by some really great authors, and they all have a common theme, two themes actually. The first one is they all are set in the apocalypse, in one way, shape or form, during or after an apocalyptic event. The second theme is that there's an animal in each story. There are dogs, cats, there's a parrot, there is a wolf in my case. So I wanted to just read you, I wanted to give you a feel for the story, read you 2 paragraphs of it so you can get a little bit of a sense for what's going on there, and hopefully buy the book. Oh, one more thing is that the Tales of the Apocalypse is now connected to Pets for Vets, which is a great organization that connects veterans with rescue dogs. And they have a huge following. They have, I think, 90,000 people on Facebook. They have a huge website. They do tons and tons of really great things for rescue dogs and for veterans. And they have agreed to blast the Tales of the Apocalypse in their newsletter and on their website. And Chris, the editor and creator of Tales of the Apocalypse, has agreed to give $1 per book from now on until the end of December to Pets for Vets as a donation. And I think the audiobook and the paperback will then give 25 cents to Pets for Vets indefinitely. So it's a really great cause, and it's a really great book. My story is called Protector. This is a tale of courage and sacrifice, of undying loyalty, and of the importance of the pack. At the heart of the story lies the relationship between 2 cubs, one of them a 12-year-old boy, the other a young wolf. Neither of them is equipped to survive alone, and one of them will become a legend, remembered for generations to come. So I'm going to read you the first 2 paragraphs of it. Protector. The fire had separated him from his pack. The wolves had made their way east across the Great Plains and toward the lower mountains. They traveled around the city. Even though there was food there, they dared not go too close. Meat was rare, and wolf meat was considered a delicacy. They wouldn't have survived. When the thunder came and fire began to rain from the sky, the earth shook under them in great tremors. He was still too small to run as fast as they did, so he and his sister, cubs and not yet fully certain on their feet, fell behind. His mother's eyes commanded them to follow whenever she turned her head back to find them. He understood, but couldn't go any faster as hard as he tried. His sister, slightly bigger and stronger already, had a good 20 feet on him, but even she couldn't reach the others. His mother slowed down, and his sister caught up to her. Through the raging fire and the thunderous sounds around him, he saw his mother pick up his sibling by the neck. She looked at him once more, then turned and disappeared into the storm. His howling didn't reach further than the wind. So that was Tales of the Apocalypse. It is coming out 20th of November. It's already out for pre-order on Amazon right now. $1 of it goes to Pets for Vets, so please go over there and type in Tales of the Apocalypse, T-A-I-L-S, and you'll get it. It's a really, really awesome anthology. The second one I wanted to talk to you about is called The Time Travel Chronicles. That is part of a series that is created by Samuel Peralta. He has done so far 10 anthologies. They're called The Future Chronicles, and they have all kinds of themes in it: robots, artificial intelligence, alternate history, and this one is the 10th one, It is called The Time Travel Chronicles. It's out already on Amazon. And again, 15 authors, amazing stories. They all in one way or another have to do with time travel. And my story in the Time Travel Chronicles is called The Traveler. And I have to say that The Traveler is probably my favorite story of all times from a writer's point of view. It grabbed me from the first moment, and it never let me go. And there's a lot of myself in it, I think. But I want to read you just a little bit of it. I have made a bunch of copies of that already for the it's going to come out as a standalone in 3 months. But I made just a bunch of copies. It's not published. I'm giving it to some friends and some family to read. So I'm going to read you the first couple of paragraphs. Basically what it's about is a young girl. She's 12 years old, and she is an apprentice in her father's blacksmith shop. So she learns from a very young age on how to weld, how to put things together, how to build things. There's some blacksmith work in there. There's a forge in the workshop, and she knows all this stuff really, really well. Her father dies from a stroke, and she's absolutely devastated. And then one day she goes into the shop that is now all quiet, and nobody's in there, and he's not there anymore, obviously. And she finds in a hidden drawer in a dresser in that workshop, she finds a really beat up, greased up notepad. And when she opens it, she realizes that it is written by her father to her, giving her detailed instructions to build a time machine. I was always a fan of The Time Machine, the movie, H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, and it's an homage to that as well. I'm just going to read you a couple of paragraphs. The Traveler. They told me I couldn't go into his workshop. They didn't understand. They thought it would bring back too many memories. But there weren't too many memories. There weren't enough memories, not nearly enough. I wanted to hold each one, put them in a jar and keep them with me so I could go back whenever I needed to. But instead, they began to drift away, however much I tried to hold on to them. There were painful ones, yes, but they were only from the time when he was in the hospital. Those were the ones I couldn't get back to. How his face was fallen in, how his speech was slurred, how he grasped for things that weren't there. No, I wanted to go back further. I wanted to remember the Saturday mornings when we worked side by side in his shop. He was always building something, always. The smoke from the welder filled the air, the blue arc illuminated the walls each time the welding rod connected with the steel. He told me never to look directly into it, to shield my eyes from its intense burning light. For my 9th birthday, he gave me a welding mask. He fitted it perfectly to my head, and I didn't take it off for the whole day. It was one of the fancier ones where you could lift the front cover up to look at the welding line and see if it was straight and contained enough filler metal to make a perfect weave bead. The other gifts, a karaoke machine and Just Dance 4 for the Wii, were nice, but they didn't make my heart swell up. The welding mask made me an equal to him, still an apprentice, yes, but equally capable of using some of the tools and equipment. My stepmom didn't understand why I loved it so much. She couldn't understand a lot of things. My sister, who was much older than me, got married right around my 12th birthday. My dad and I made her a bouquet of flowers for her wedding. He let me attach several of the flower petals to the top of the stems. I messed up a few and burned holes into the thin metal pieces, but he cut out new ones each time, and after the 4th one, I finally was able to attach it. Once the bouquet was done, I painted the petals in yellow and white and the stem in dark green. My dad had a stroke 3 days after the wedding. He died 1 week later. That was 2 months ago. I have to tell you that both stories, the Protector and The Traveler. I cried profusely at the end, and I've heard many of my readers in reviews or in messages that they cried at the end as well. I think that's one of the main reasons to be a writer, to touch the readers' lives in some way or another, and to make them connect with you at that moment, because you feel the same pain or the same joy as the reader over a distance of, you know, thousands of miles sometimes. Or if they read it 10 years later, they connect to that moment when you wrote it, when you felt the same. So time and space in that moment don't really matter. And that is, I think, the coolest thing for a writer, to connect with a reader that way, to cross the boundaries of time and space completely. I mean, what I write now, or what somebody writes now, and 5 years or 100 years later, somebody reads and gets exactly that same emotion that I had when I was writing it. That's a beautiful thing, absolutely beautiful. So thanks for listening and watching, and talk to you soon.